Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It's the weekly Sunday night Fandom Power live stream here. Well, here wherever you are. I know where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know where you are too.
I sort of know where I am. 50% of the time, I know where I am 100% of the time.
I've been enjoying this. I don't want to call it a stall period because behind the scenes, I've been very busy doing other video projects. Which, if you haven't seen, we've dropped three videos in our Weapons of Star Wars playlist. So if you haven't checked those out, they're all under 5 minutes. Go check those out. They're kind of
easily
cool.
consumable.
Yeah, totally. But I like this loosey goosey,
little bit more free flowing.
Yeah. There's less. Oh my God, I gotta stay on script.
Right.
And it's been working for me. And I really, man, there was so much more I wanted to talk about last week in the toy discussion. And we couldn't for time and for argument's sake, because there's some pretty aggravating things. Or can we call them hot button topics?
Sure.
Hot button topics.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Not much has changed in a week. I mean, they didn't fix anything, right?
No.
Part 2 could happen.
I want to preface the conversation that we're going to do a two-parter tonight. If you haven't, you're here now. You know that we're doing a two-parter tonight. We're going to go back and revisit a portion of the toy discussion from last week because there's a little bit more to talk about. And I just kind of want to put it out. I want to put out some vibes, and I want to see what comes back. I want to know what you guys think of this particular subject. So yeah, we're going to talk about toys for a little bit in the first half of the show, and then we're going to unpack the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk. I hope you've been watching because we have, and I know we all have some very interesting opinions and strong opinions about things as fans of people who like things, fans of things, as it were.
Things are good.
Things are good.
I agree. Things are very good.
Ask Ben Grimm.
That's right.
All right, guys. Last week on the toy discussion, when we were talking about the state of the action figure world, we just scratched the surface on the notion of third-party toy companies or knockoff toy companies. The whole, hey, that's Bruce. They still call me Bruce. Although
that's a knock. That's a knock. I was going to say,
baby. Can you put him back in frame?
Sure.
Pull him back a little bit, and can we get on his face a bit? Yeah, there we go. Wow,
looking figure.
It's not bad. I mean, if it reminds me, Bruce Lee. Almost looks Indian.
Yeah.
He almost looks like he's like Indian, like from India.
It was advertised. It was like on Wish or one of those like super. It didn't cost much. It was
Bruce Lee.
It was a fun
Wish.
experiment. Lauren got them for me for Christmas.
That's awesome.
But they were advertised as like articulate 3.75 figures, and they're actually puzzles.
Sure.
All the limbs come off.
If it makes you feel better.
They don't turn or anything.
Give me a second. Let me grab something off camera here.
Nice.
Well, you can manually turn it.
Yeah, you could. And then the elbow looks weird. But there was like 5 of them. One of them came with 2 left arms. One of them was missing a leg. So I mean, I knew what I was getting into. Is my point. You know what I mean? Like
this, I have a license. This is a licensed Bruce Lee.
Okay.
Collectible, and let me tell you, it's not much better.
Okay. Oh wow, yeah. I do have the licensed. Oh my goodness!
Would you believe that's from Sideshow?
That's Sideshow.
Yeah, it's a very early Sideshow. Yeah.
Wow. We're just gonna do a Bruce Lee episode. I was gonna run and grab it. I think it's a NECA. Is it a NECA Bruce Lee?
In the yellow.
Yes.
Diamond Selected.
Diamond Select. It comes with multiple heads, many hands. And he's a 7-inch figure, so he doesn't scale with the Star Wars stuff. He scares the crap out of Star Wars figures. But I find he doesn't.
As he should.
He's way too tall and lean for Bruce. Like Bruce Lee is sort of a compact little, You know, this guy, it's as weird as it is, he scales like Bruce Lee. He kind of, you know.
He's great, though. He's proportionately, he's great. Yeah.
This other thing has legs that are so long, he looks like a gazelle. and a crazy long torso. It's like you had to stretch that to get the 7 inches there. It's awkward. And there was in box, it looked incredible, though. Nunchucks spinning around.
So there's a certain segment of the of the toy world.
Industry?
Is it an industry? Sure. It is
100%. Yeah.
That is like fan-made stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to preface this conversation by saying, like, I'm a Transformer collector, so you better believe that I own third-party Transformers because, quite frankly, some of them are very, very good. What I want to talk about, though, is this whole notion of there's almost like a flippancy with the third-party companies that, you know, because they do with impunity.
That's right.
To the point where you have other YouTubers out there who are actively, I don't want to say defending, but there's like a misconception around what, you know, about the IP, intellectual property laws,
right,
and how they can be applied. And I think there's I don't want to call it a complacency that just because a toy company doesn't litigate the little guy, that they won't.
No.
And
no. We've seen Disney go after really petty things for this.
Oh, sure.
You know, and they seem to have their thumb on the pulse of knowing when we've used too much of one of their musical pieces in one of our videos, or like instantly they have their thumb on that pulse. It's strange.
Machine learning.
I mean, and we discussed this last time. Is there some sort of kickback? Is there some sort of way that Corporation X is making money off their knockoff toys? Whether it's because it's driving people towards the actual toy, or whether it's bringing brand awareness in a strange way.
I think there's something to that, the brand awareness thing. I sincerely do believe that. I think, you know, me, if I was, you know, CEO Wes of, you know, Bearded Podcaster Toys, and, you know, Hank out in Halifax just says, I'm going to take that Bearded Podcaster figure and I'm going to 3D print it and I'm going to start selling it.
Right.
You know, as soon as I became aware of that, you know,
stop it.
Not necessarily. I want to watch it. I want to watch it first to see if does it gain traction? Because if it does, then I can go, there's interest in my brand, and now I can do something official, and now I will squash you.
Yeah, right. Might as well wait and see.
It doesn't cost me anything to watch the other guy. It costs me nothing, or it costs me very little.
Or even to make a reasonable reach at some point and go, hey, I noticed you're making some traction with my IP.
With my intellectual property. Would you like a license?
Would you, yeah. Do you want to do business?
You want to do a licensing deal?
I'd like my portion of that, please.
Okay, so I'm glad that you touched on that, because I mean, I'm not out to pick on any one company, but there is a company out there right now that is getting their fingers in a lot of pots, and I'm gonna use them as the big example for tonight. Let me bring this up here. Let's go back to a time when toys were maybe a little, well, they weren't simpler. They were actually pretty freaking cool. Some of them were pretty elaborate, but we're gonna take a little trip back to the 1980s. You guys remember? Am I on the right slide? I am on the right slide. Do you remember this brand? Do you remember Centurions?
Yeah, totally.
Andy, I know you're a Centurions fan.
Yeah.
So Centurions Power Extreme. Me.
Jake Rockwell was my go-to.
That's right. See, 3 guys. Each one is, you know,
equipped for a certain
environment. You get an air commander,
air, assault, ground, and water.
Ground and a water guy, and they all came with these modular kits that you could.
Well, they came with a base kit, and then you would buy your expansion kits.
Yeah, additional kits, right?
So it just kept the action going, because then you mix and match.
No, absolutely. So
this is one of Kenner's first forays into a line after Star Wars, right?
Like this would be 80. So this is 80. I think the Ruby Spears cartoon was around 85, 86,
somewhere in there,
86 maybe. Yeah. So
we're still associated with Tonka at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So you've got a company out here, and I don't even know where they're from. And honestly, I didn't check. They might not even have a website. That's one of the things with these third-party companies. Some of them may have a website, some of them may not.
Right.
But anyway, earlier, was it last year, I guess, in 2021 or late this year. This small toy company, Ramen Toy, produced a line of action figures that they called 80s Commanders. And I mean, it's I don't know about you guys, but it looks pretty obvious to me that what we are looking at is a modernized modern take on.
When I look at it like that, I'm wondering if they even had access to the molds.
Maybe.
Man, but here's the thing. Certainly I've been following these guys online, and certainly they've had access to real action figures.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be much to laser scan an existing figure and then reverse engineer that.
True.
Because I think the idea is that these guys will actually work with your existing Centurion kits.
I was under the impression these were a bit smaller.
Are they?
I believe so.
I thought the holes were with the same size. Maybe they're not. Maybe I could be wrong. So anybody out there own a set of these can corroborate this for me?
Jeez. Is the IP still active? Is that I know it's definitely not under the it's not the 1920s and it hasn't lapsed.
Not. Well, here's the thing, right? So I put that up there on purpose. That this is a line that started with Kenner, and we know that Kenner was sold to Hasbro. So this is a brand that is firmly entrenched. It is Hasbro's intellectual property. They own it. It has not even crossed the radar of revivals. Even when they went back and did that, what's the revival thing they just did recently with IDW that had, it had Mask and Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Turtles.
Yeah.
It was a big crossover event that they did in the comics. Mask was in there, as well as the guys with the holographic staffs.
Visionaries.
That was a big crossover. Centurions wasn't even part of that. So I have not heard of anything official on the Centurions front
since the original
at all. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you have this third-party set, these 80s Commanders, which people apparently are pretty excited about.
That's pretty blatant.
Sure, it is.
It's pretty
it's sort of like there's a deep history of ripping off happening. Micronauts were completely ripped off from a Japanese brand, just utterly and totally ripped off from
there's a whole revolving door on the Micronauts G.I. Joe Transformer connection, which is it's mind-numbing when you kind of realize what
and then you look at the history of almost everything, and very few things aren't derivative. This example is so visceral because it's literally there's no two ways about it.
I keep using the third-party Transformer example because that is by and large probably the biggest industry within the industry is these not Transformers or not transforming robots that have no branding on them and have different names and are so skirting sort of the edges of what is, perhaps IP infringement. And I didn't pull a lot of those examples in, but there are literally some third-party companies that are taking a mold from Hasbro and just simply making it bigger.
Well, and there's giant corporations that have popped up around a toy brand that isn't, now Lego is a really good example how they're the patent is now
Lego
open.
Was their own worst enemy.
but Mega Bloks had established itself right under them like an umbrella and had for a long time. It had the superhero licenses, and it was doing very well competitively.
Right.
And ever so slightly, the blocks wouldn't line up. You could force them to line up, but that's one of those things where everybody knows it. Lego knows it. Mega Bloks knows it. Every fan, every kid, everybody knows it. But it just happened anyway. There was no legal battle that I'm aware of,
even now you go to the Dollar Tree and you find blocks there from Tech Block and it says Lego compatible.
They're all Lego compatible.
Now they're all Lego. That's since the license is open.
Hasbro's brick, the Creo brick, is compatible. Mega Bloks, which is now Constructs. It's been rebranded Constructs.
There's a Playmates sort of version. There's a
McFarlane did some build
sets.
A bunch of Game of Thrones sets they did.
I don't know who the property guy, the manufacturer is, but I have several Rick and Morty sets that are Lego compatible, but they're not Lego.
McFarlane.
Yeah. Are they? Yeah, you go.
Yeah, they did that. They did South Park. I'm pretty sure the Game of Thrones, at least the one set I have, was from Mega Constructs.
Okay. I think more than ever now too, the IPs, the way that the distribution is working, like it used to be sort of like Kenner. That was it. That's what we had in the 70s.
Yeah.
That way you didn't, you know, if it wasn't Kenner, we knew it was fake. I'm not really being that concerned with it when I was 8 years old anyway, right? There were knockoffs. Those Brazilian cool things, but
do you want to take I was going to say, like you keep going.
Everybody has so many poles in the water, if you will.
Well, and this is where I've said
there are
before,
9 or 10 different Star Wars toy brands. There's
anybody with a 3D printer,
low end, and
anybody with a 3D printer is suddenly a toy company.
It's,
you know what I mean, or could be a toy company,
could be
a basement toy company. You know, bootlegging out the back door, right?
Yeah,
right.
And some of them are. Some of them are. Some of them are small. They're one-person operations. Andy, we've seen it on the toy groups on Facebook, where like there's a toy group that I had been for, where we actually had to make a point of saying, listen, if you don't own the intellectual property, like it's one thing to print an accessory. We've talked about this before. Print the accessory that the rare thing that's hard to get because
you're never gonna find.
It's going to complete somebody's figure. But when you start printing entire action figures and then calling it an original work and getting upset because, hey, I made that, you've already dipped into legal obscurity when you took somebody else's intellectual property and then tried to sell it. So I mean, if you are not going into this sort of eyes open, I mean, again, this goes back to a lot of these companies, Hasbro, Mattel. They don't litigate for whatever reason.
No.
But it doesn't mean that they can't or won't in the future.
No.
And so if they do, you're getting everything that's coming to you under the letter of the law.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But in this specific case, I could see why they would let it go.
They don't have anything in the works with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Got nothing going on with this brand.
Let these guys get it out there, invigorate the brand, if you will, get the interest going.
Totally agree.
Once that's there, shut them down, take over. And
I totally agree with you. And so what's more interesting is that this company has a license for you remember Silverhawks?
Yes.
So Ramen Toy actually got a licensing deal with Super 7, who has a toy license to make Silverhawks action figures. So they are actually producing a licensed Quicksilver and Monstar. On top of all the other things that they're doing. You want to take a look at another one?
Yes.
All right, let's have a look. Ooh, one of my favorites, Mask. Another one from Kenner.
Another one that hasn't really done much lately either.
Again,
outside of the comics,
you know,
anyway.
that IDW comic sort of resurgence there. Nothing going on there. I chose the particular vehicles that I did. One, it's Thunderhawk, which is sort of the main hero characters. Yeah, the main hero character's vehicle. And the other one I pulled up is Stiletto. Stiletto came out towards the end of the line. It was a character, Gloria Baker. But Gloria Baker featured like really, really prominently in the animated series.
Yeah.
And she was driving a different vehicle. She was driving a Porsche. And that Porsche never got made. Never got made. However, our friends over at Ramen Toy have decided that they're going to dip into that pool too. So looks like they're taking a crack at redoing the Thunderhawk, as well as doing their own version of the Shark.
Crazy.
It's going to be called Machina. But again, I mean, look at the look at it and tell me that.
Even the logo.
Here we go. I mean,
right.
Okay. And this is not to judge anybody who is a consumer of toys and action figures, right? Like I said, I own lots of third-party stuff. I love it. As a consumer, it's pretty much risk-free for me to go out and buy this stuff. And if someone's going to make it and it's the thing that I want, I'm okay with buying it. I just, as a business person, it's another.
I started poking around the topic, and what I realized was there are people out there that just collect knockoffs.
Oh yeah.
And there's a huge sort of subset of us that do that. And so, you know, as a collector, you get into some moral gray ground there, because you're definitely putting money into that, to giving it possibly to a person who doesn't deserve it necessarily. But like you say, I guess if any company wanted to, they could just swoop in and deal with it. if it was becoming a problem for them.
Let's go back to that about, someone who doesn't deserve it. And now imagine that you're the guy or the team that is doing the work behind the scenes to do the engineering, let's say on this Shark vehicle, which they probably will have no trouble marketing because, again, there was no toy of that ever produced.
So if you want to round out your set, this might be the only way.
This might be the way to do it. The Thunderhawk, on the other hand,
it was readily available.
If that's a reverse engineered piece and you've taken apart the original and now you're professing that, my work and my labor and my investment and again, really though, is it? I mean, did you make some improvements? Sure. Is it original enough to be considered, not passing off in the court of in legal terms? I don't know. It's not for me to decide. It's for,
it's for the courts.
Absolutely. Speaking of the courts, again, the courts don't really pursue this stuff. But before we get to that, let's bring up one more here. This one you guys might remember this one. Remember Brave Star?
Yes.
This is another interesting one. Now, this one I put up all these companies because this kind of falls into that same realm as Masters of the Universe, as in who owns what. Mm-hmm. Because the Filmation series was actually conceived before the toys, but the toys came out before the series. So, yes, Mattel made the toys, but the IP, I believe, is owned by Universal because.
See, and there's a couple of distinctions too where things get really muddy in this because, like IP is these, like everybody knows that intellectual property. That's the sort of the idea of something ascribed to the originator of that idea. But when you get into physical items like books, I'm not talking about publishing books or the writers of books, but I'm talking about a physical item or a physical toy. You start getting into trademark.
Oh yeah,
trademark's a whole different item, or copyright. And so while literature can have copyrights, physical objects tend to have trademarks. Ideas have intellectual property, and that they can spin that stuff legally so nutty.
Yeah.
Where they could take somebody like you and I to task with it if we didn't know what we were doing in terms of trying to, maybe.
I mean, arguably Mattel could have a stake in it because they were the manufacturer of the toy, even though they were a licensee of Filmation at the time. Mm-hmm. And this just like the last two brands that we've talked about, Brave Star, we've got this one coming down the pipes.
Marshall.
The Marshall. Yeah. I mean, look at this. Coming soon, Eyes of the Hawk, Ears of the Wolf, Strength of the Bear, Speed of the Puma. Did you guys watch the show?
Yeah.
Then you remember, I mean, if you look at this image, there they are. Yeah. You're not fooling anybody. That's all I'm saying. You're not fooling anybody.
No.
And I guess it's up to you, the consumer, to decide if you like this, if this is your thing or not. It does get sticky though, because like, as we've already talked about, just because they don't doesn't mean they won't. And
the other thing is, like, what are the markets that these knockoffs are, are they selling in?
This is being aimed at the North American market.
This one is, yeah. There was one that was a Japanese company back a few. And I would think that the original stuff might have not made it to market there. And therefore there's
these guys are definitely based in Asia somewhere. I don't know exactly where.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not even going to speculate because I'm not sure. I don't want to talk a butthole.
Right.
But definitely Brave Star, definitely a Western brand. Mask, a Western / European brand. Centurion's very American or North American. But, going back to that Hasbro thing, like Hasbro, because I say Transformers are probably the biggest example of third-party toys. This is a piece that I pulled off of the Transformer wiki page that talks about sort of Hasbro's position on sort of IP infringement. And I have to imagine that it's probably similar with Mattel and other companies, Spin Master, Playmates, McFarlane. They probably have a similar sort of take on it, but it says, official statements from Hasbro on third-party toys are few and far between. In one response provided as part of the company's now defunct fan site Q&A program, They noted the illegal nature of the figures and remarked that this kind of IP infringement was unfair to legitimate licensees who pay to produce Transformers merchandise. In 2015, Hasbro's United Kingdom branch distributed an online survey of the collecting habits of Transformer fans to coincide with the Auto Assembly unofficial convention, which included a surprising number of questions regarding third-party products. While such unofficial toys were banned from being sold in the dealer room at BotCon, BotCon, by the way, used to be the official Transformers convention that Hasbro actually supported up until they dropped it for HasCon. Being sold at the dealer room at BotCon 2012, 2015, and 2016, they generally seem to adopt a laissez-faire approach to such toys. While they don't officially condone such material, they're happy to allow it to exist as long as it isn't impacting Hasbro's bottom line. And there's the big one right there, right?
Right.
The one instance of Hasbro taking legal action was an unofficial toy of Unicron announced during the HasLab campaign for War for Cybertron. Unicron, seemingly intended to directly undercut Hasbro's big-ticket crowdfunded toy. Evidently and understandably unhappy with this, Hasbro apparently intervened to have all posts about the pretender to the throne taken down from social media. And there you have it. There's kind of the official, unofficial stance from Hasbro.
Well, having read that, I'd like to announce my 6-inch scale Millennium Falcon. And you guys can crowdfund it. Anybody who wants to can give me 10 grand. And sometime in the next 10 years, I might mail you a picture of the one I build for myself.
Yeah. First comment coming in tonight on Facebook. It's Glenn Howie. Glenn says, this is a figure you buy to take apart, repaint, and combine with other toys to make some other figure from a fandom that isn't available. You buy this and remake it into a character from Westworld or something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Because the customizing world is growing.
Absolutely it is. You invited me into that Marvel Customs group, and it's been like crazy active in the last this last week. Seeing stuff that just looks like super, super professional. Like you swear that a toy company pushed this out.
Yeah.
Follow-up comment from Glenn. Glenn says, check is in the mail.
Nice. Oh, yeah, nice.
So I have to imagine, like, again, like Hasbro, this was a big deal when Hasbro did this. I mean, I do have a slide for that one. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's bring that up. Back in 2019, Hasbro launched their HasLab campaign for the War for Cybertron Unicron figure. It was several $100s, and it wasn't going to ship for like a year.
That's right.
And at virtually the same time, this other toy company, Zeta Toys, announced their competitive figure, Core Star. Clearly, that is Unicron. Both of these Unicrons are styled to look like Unicron from the 1986 Transformer animated film.
Right.
Hasbro say the Core Star looks a bit closer.
Well, he looks more like a cartoon, doesn't
he?
Yeah. So Hasbro, in a rare move, basically stomped these guys, and I mean like stomped, like stop. And not only did the social media posts disappear, but all of the pre-order, all the websites that were like TF Source, they had all like pulled the listing and basically said, no, it's not happening. Well, the figure doesn't ship for like a year, and of course, as I said, they got stomped on. But fast forward, it's now 2022, and that Zeta Toys Core Star figure that got canceled. Well, guess what? Unicron has come and gone. He's now out to market. He was a HasLab campaign. Essentially, it's HasLab's Kickstarter platform that allows them to do big, like expensive projects that require lots and lots of new tooling. These third-party guys, they're crafty because Core Star just got moved over to the 01 studio company and has now been released as Cell, which is interesting because essentially they gave them another year and a bit to further refine the design. But you can't tell me that Cell is not the same figure.
Oh yeah.
Core Star.
He's missing a couple of things, but
I don't know if he's necessarily missing anything.
Well, it looks like he's missing a couple of his like rings, his outer rings.
Potentially. Now there is I don't want to get all like Transformer heavy on you, but there is an accessory. There's an add-on kit for this figure that makes the planetary rings way bigger and more of them. So to emulate sort of the skeletal wings. Mm-hmm. But yeah, these are the bare bones figures. I mean, all through the legs, it looks like the same engineering, the same panel lines, the same, like it's the same.
Yeah.
So close that I would say that like whoever's behind Zeta Toys is probably in league with, or if they're not the same company, like, and again,
right.
All these things are coming out of Asia. So I mean,
maybe who makes no name bread?
Don't tell me there's a Weston attached to that somewhere. Of course there is. All right. So going back to the statement that I said earlier about how there seems to be a bit of a flippancy about this kind of work, though. This is an actual exchange on the Raw Man Toy Facebook page regarding the Marshall. And one of the people on the page had said, Mattel might not be too kind on these. And the company's answer, how so? Like, come on. You know why.
Really? I didn't think so.
You know why. And that's almost like saying, try me. You know what I mean? Like, do you guys see it a different way? You guys see it the same way?
Maybe they're just playing dumb.
I don't think they're that ignorant. I just don't. I personally don't feel that they're the I didn't know card when you're talking about international sales, and I just don't think when you are already, again, remember,
there's also deny. If you there's like not waving flags,
right?
I'm live on YouTube to like 2 people. I haven't cleared all my samples.
Yeah.
I put stuff on. You know, I might owe Aretha Franklin 30 cents.
Sure.
But it's like if you don't wave flags and
right. If you don't get noticed, does that make it okay?
It's such a gray area. You know,
I think your music sampling is an interesting one. I don't think it can be accurately compared to the toy discussion, but I do hear what you're saying. And I think the bottom line is it transformative enough to be considered a new and original work? Maybe.
Yeah. Like
it seems to be the case with music. Is it transformative enough? Or the other one, and I mean, everybody that, runs a YouTube channel all knows, does it fit the guidelines and principles of fair use?
Well, and this is it. And I mean, I'm going to say like the IP is not dead, but if there's a glut in the water and the people that are in charge of that aren't sort of pursuing that, and somebody comes along and says, look, I've found this hole in your ship that I can, it's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit Rebel Alliance, like these big companies that are taking us to task. If somebody can get in there and launch a few torpedoes and make, I don't think these guys are going to make millions of dollars. Maybe they're going to parlay. I mean, they did get the Silverhawks thing, right? So maybe they're using this to parlay this into reality.
That's what I was going to say.
Maybe they're crafty businessmen.
The plead ignorance argument doesn't work in this case because they are a licensee for another property. They know how this stuff works.
I mean, you need Sarcastica, the font that tells you what the intent behind the how so could be tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Right? Like, What do you
I
mean?
guess so. Yeah.
It's really hard to say.
It could be the wink, eh? Like it's the winky emoji without putting it in there.
Yeah, and is this company making 250,000 units? Are they making 1 million units? Or like, are they?
You know what? I don't know.
Are they pre-ordering and making units per pre-order? That kind of stuff.
I can tell you that going back. Actually, you know what? There is a late in the Centurion run. They introduced a couple of other characters. One of John Thunder.
Yeah.
John Thunder never got released as a toy, but they did the tooling. They're doing a John Thunder, and they were doing it. I think it was a minimum of 800. 800. So it's not huge numbers.
No, that's pretty low.
I could be wrong. I'd have to double check that, but I remember seeing
prototypes did get out for those.
Yeah, they did test shots and stuff, and they showed everything off, and they had full color, like fully painted prototypes, working prototypes. Yeah. But they canceled the
line before mass market release.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it's again like it's not about. I'm not questioning the morality of it from a consumer's perspective. It's just what I do find funny is people, makers, toy makers who do this, who know what they're doing. You know that you're using somebody else's IP. You make the thing, and when the big guy comes knocking, you plead like, I'm the little guy. It's almost like the David and Goliath thing. But let's remember, if you made a brand new, if you invented something and somebody else stole your thing as a little guy, you'd be pretty upset about it.
Yeah. Like when Aretha Franklin's people call me, I'm going to throw my hands up in the air and go, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll either pull the song or we can negotiate, but I'm not gonna go, I didn't know any better.
So before we wrap
I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, before we wrap this up, the toy discussion, I do hope that they are successful with these lines. I do hope that there's enough interest that maybe, and I think this is part of that whole why Hasbro doesn't litigate, is that reciprocal synergistic relationship, that if there's interest in third-party toys for a property that we own, that tells me maybe there's enough interest that we can take something to market and get something official. So are third-party toys a good thing? I think they are.
Yeah, I definitely I think so.
I do. I think they are as well.
I got a question for you guys. What is the first sort of knockoff thing you remember? It doesn't necessarily have to be a toy. Mine is on the edge of sort of toy, but if you guys remember what the first sort of knockoff thing you encountered was?
Well, in the toy world would probably be like GoBots. There were tons of GoBots.
Mine would have been one of those knockoff Mexican wrestlers.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Sure.
It looks like Hulk Hogan, but it's not Hulk Hogan.
It's somewhere like a cross between a Masters of the Universe figure and a Remco figure, which has already been, accused of being a knockoff of a Mattel property.
I remember being real young and telling Bob I wanted to be a Spider-Man for Halloween.
Oh, right.
He brought me a green Spider-Man costume. Had a green mask and green and white and silver Spider-Man. It looked like Spider-Man, but it was green and white and silver with a green mask. And I couldn't have been, I must have been the saddest kid under that mask in the whole world. And that's the first time I realized, like, oh, there's an official version to things, and then there's like whatever this Mexican company wants to do, I guess. Yeah, right. I should have flipped it like that. I wasn't
green goblin
man. Emotionally mature enough to flip it like that. It was worse than the year I was ET. I'll tell you that. That's
Can't be any worse than the year that I was Balloon Man.
Nice.
My parents, I don't know if they just forgot one year, but they dressed me in a garbage bag and pinned a bunch of balloons to it.
Nice.
Put some makeup on. Now you're the balloon clown. I'm like, this is awful. Well, let me leave you with this before we move on to the second half of the show. Let me leave you with this one. As big proponents of Star Wars here, Star Wars has not escaped this aspect of toy collecting. In fact, you need only look as far as AliExpress to have any variety of clone that you can imagine for a meager $23.55, which by all accounts is a freaking bargain right now.
Oh, these days, yeah. And so
that's great
for me. That like army building stuff like that. That's a perfect sort of. It's when you go to Amazon and they're trying to pass off a blue box from 2013 or an orange box from 2013. And that kind of. But if they're not misleading you in any way,
right?
And you have 41 clones, I have 3, so I could use a few more clones. You know what I mean? Like
I'm about to have 42 with the addition of the phase Purge Trooper Phase 2.
Oh yeah, he's sexy. Yeah, that's beautiful. What did you end up paying for Sev?
So I paid. The EB Edge price is the same as the Walmart price here. It's
there you go.
It's $38.99.
Oh, 38.
$38.99. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got me for $4.
That's that hurts.
I mean, I know. And all that ranting last week, I was like all over Amazon going, it made it this week.
It made it really easy for me. I had the Saw Gerrera in my hand, and I'm like, yeah, I like him, but he's got less than 10 minutes of screen time. And he's not that memorable for me, and I put him back.
Yeah, wait till Andor. You're going to think that through again, but he's $100, and you've seen him in Andor.
Maybe. The 4 or 5 one jacks that I saw on the shelf again yesterday, I'm like, yeah, again, another character who's essentially Talking about knockoffs, One Jack, just a knockoff of Forlom.
Forlom repaint. It's completely a repaint.
Yeah.
And when I open mine, I'm painting the eyes green because I can't stand.
I don't blame you. I would do the same. I would do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. I wanted to. I thought there was
Speaking
more
of
conversation
green,
to be had. Speaking of green, Andy, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
All right.
You can take us away here for the second
just
half.
One more thought on that.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you go to a flea market, I still get a kick.
Oh, flea markets always.
Because you'll find toys that are like Spider Person or Superman.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the wrong character in the wrong package with the wrong franchise name, and they don't even care.
Yeah. Batman is painted red, and he's got a yellow bat on his chest.
Yeah.
They always had those when I was a kid too. Just quick, the parachute troopers, but they were always painted like Spider-Man or Batman.
Yeah.
Just like roughly, Yeah, totally.
I think I've got one of those upstairs, to be honest with you.
But yeah, another show has come out, and it's very green influenced.
So I'm just going to go out right now. I'm going to just want to get to it early before anybody gets angry at me. This is my favorite Marvel series since What If. Yeah. Of the ones that have come since. Of Moon Knight and Miss Marvel. Don't get me wrong. Really like Miss Marvel. But She-Hulk just feels good. Feels fun.
Well, it is fun.
Yeah. I like it.
She's another one of those characters that breaks the fourth wall. So...
Well, I had a question about that.
Fair enough.
How do we feel about the fourth wall breaking?
I'm fine with it. Deadpool nailed it too. So
that's where I
There's
wanted to go.
There's a little bit in
that.
all of the TV shows. There's tiny bit in all of the TV shows. Ever so
is
slightly.
it because Deadpool is sort of that's the realm of Deadpool, as it were? That's sort of the Deadpool wheelhouse, the fourth wall breaking.
To the general public, sure, but She-Hulk was doing it years before him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, see, now I've just learned something, and as a general casual viewer, I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
that makes.
And I would think, in terms of comic book characters, those thought bubbles are breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, okay.
Since the 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Privy to their thoughts.
And that's one of the things I don't think comic book movies have got perfect yet. And I'd like to see I'd like to see something like this. The one thing about Spider-Man is he's always doing exposition in his head.
Okay.
I'd say 75% of the words in a Spider-Man comic, at least in the 80s and 90s when it was my heyday, are like thought exposition.
Yeah. The only thing he was actually talking was the jokes when he was fighting.
Right, so if you could get that sort of narration going on in the background so that the audience is aware of it's more than narration. It's his, if they could come up with a crafty way to put Peter's thoughts out there, I think you could get that. Like that's 75% of Spider-Man is his inner monologue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the lesson. I very much appreciate that. And I will never, ever ask again.
You have more questions, keep asking. Questions keep us going.
All right.
So, and latest show to hit Disney Plus, though, is She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Yeah, I like it.
Not last week.
No.
Was it? They changed it. It was She-Hulk, Attorney...
Oh, no, this week's they've changed it.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what happens in the second episode.
Right.
But started out She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, and I think it'll revert.
Wasn't it She-Hulk in search of a job or something?
She-Hulk, Attorney for Hire.
Attorney for Hire, that was it. Yeah.
But, the episode kicks off, and we've got Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah. I haven't seen the new Perry Mason, and truthfully, I have not watched Orphan Black either. So
me neither, but I hear good things.
Do we know her from anything else?
A lot of stuff that I've never heard of.
Okay,
we got a Facebook user telling us it's so good.
So good. Yeah, I agree.
I really agree.
Yeah, if I had to put it down into one word, yes.
Yeah. But she's had a ton of different series over the years. Starting out, she was a Savage, then she was Sensational, and then it was just She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But like during the John Byrne Sensational, she was breaking the fourth wall every issue.
Okay. And what era of She-Hulk was she part of the Fantastic Four?
Oh, probably the Sensational. I would believe
late 80s, early 90s.
In there.
Was she like a replacement for the Thing or something?
Yes, she was.
Yeah, okay. A muscle.
Ben was temporarily human.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, they kick it off. You get the little lawyer thing, and they're like, you want to know about the Hulk, and they do the origin piece.
Yeah.
It's not too far off from the actual comic book origin.
The blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of dragging it out that she got shot in an accident, they just do blood dripped in.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Works more like AIDS.
honestly though, is that not exactly what happened to the 2008 the leader?
Yeah,
A bit of blood dripped into his open wound.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what triggered him.
So I mean, it's already consistent with what's come before. So I do like that.
Yeah,
the leader too was a huge drop ball in terms of the.
I think that can still come up.
Why not?
Me too.
I mean,
I really think it
times
can.
they reference that.
Okay, if we can like almost look directly at the camera and make an Ed Norton joke.
They do that.
That's what I'm talking about. If we can do that, if we can acknowledge openly and publicly that Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo are the same character, sure, the leader can come back.
Yeah,
he doesn't even have to be the same guy.
He's just been, doing stuff in the background for
10 years, whatever, 15 years. 2008, by the way, that movie came out the same year as Iron Man.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was after Iron Man.
14, same year though. 2008. Yeah. So 14 years. Poor Blonsky's been in prison 14 years.
Wow.
No wonder he's reformed.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
We open it, and instead of a bunch of gangsters shooting them, it is a Sakaran. What did I say this was? A Sakaran Class 8 courier craft.
Is that exactly what it is?
That's what he calls it. Yeah.
Crazy.
I just think that's the thing that was shooting out fireworks.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
No, that was the pleasure craft.
Oh, okay.
This is just a courier one, shipping messages. But there's your first reference to Thor Ragnarok and the planet Sakaar.
Right.
Which leads me to believe we're going to get a Planet Hulk movie. And I'll tell you why later.
I think the early speculation is okay. I mean, Planet Hulk, but will Planet Hulk be... Will Sakaar be Planet Hulk?
Yes.
I mean, if the Grand Master has already been overthrown and it's been a couple of years.
But that's the thing. Is it the devil you know or the devil you don't? And if the Grand Master was there, somebody worse could have took over.
Yeah, power vacuum, what have you.
Yeah.
Are you going to speculate on that?
We're going to speculate a little bit later on that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, there's your first reference to it. As she goes into the bathroom to get cleaned up after the accident, there could be a Miss Marvel reference there.
Oh, yeah.
With the little lightning bolt on the bathroom scribbles.
I like it.
Oh, we got a Facebook user coming in here. Hulk was flying somewhere. Yes, he was
flying somewhere. Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll speculate on that.
Absolutely. Apparently, though, he must have some kind of Stark tech for a cell phone because he had reception in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best cell phone ever. But as she comes out of the bar, she's accosted by a bunch of guys who are doing that, out of the bar drunken, trying to pick up ladies.
Yeah.
And we got our little bit of a savage She-Hulk.
Yeah, I guess so.
She just turns on him.
Yeah.
And I like that scene because, that's your scene where, normally your woman is put in distress. She doesn't need any heroes. No. She just turns around and deals with it.
So this is a good time now. This is our first look at the She-Hulk in the series. All of that discussion surrounding the CGI during the trailer, it's awful, blah blah blah, and then they've come back and said, well, we have improved it, which we all kind of said, yeah, they will, and I feel like they have.
I think so.
Is there, are we stuck on the CGI? Is it Uncanny Valley territory here, or is it okay?
I like it.
No, they did a really good job.
I'm good with it too.
It was kind of weird. It was off-putting that first trailer. It really was. It didn't hold up with the rest of the. It didn't hold up with at least with the Hulk. You know what I mean?
Comparatively speaking,
the way the Hulk looks like Ruffalo, it didn't. It didn't. This is far better.
Yeah, you could definitely see actual facial traits.
It looked more like the first Hulk movie, where it kind of looked vaguely like.
When you say the first, I was going to say the Ang Lee film.
Kind of like Ang Lee. Vaguely.
You know that it's a Hulk, but it's just like, it's the Hulk, but
now it's 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yep. But then she gets taken off down to Mexico there, and as she wakes up, gets accustomed to her surroundings, and we're finding Easter eggs all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Like in the background there is the gladiator helmet from Sakaar.
Yeah.
So another reference to it.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And then the Ultron head from Age of Ultron.
That's one of the
first ones where he just kind of stumbles out of the Iron Legion.
The Iron Legion.
Yeah.
God, no strings on me.
That's right.
Yeah.
But then we get a little bit of a montage of her trying to get grips on it. And I love this scene where Hulk blasts her with an air horn.
Yep.
she's like, was that necessary? And he's like, for comedy purposes, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it works really great. Then we get the training montage.
Training montage. I love it.
It is such a fun training montage. Like, she's just kind of showing him up at every turn.
Yeah.
And we'd see that there's still some of that old Hulk in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because, same as he did to Thor.
Shoving her off a cliff.
Yeah. And for the first time, we actually get to see a Marvel character flip someone off.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think there was something going around that they had to fight to keep that in.
Oh, really?
But based on the other stuff that's in it, like there's some more everyday type jokes you would expect in a real world situation.
Yeah.
But,
how do we feel about the explanation? Are you going to touch on the explanation of Bruce's healing?
I wasn't, but
I feel like it's important because this is,
I suppose so.
Chronologically speaking, this is in the current timeline. So I mean, it's Thanos didn't even heal from his, and he was like, what, a year, 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, Hulk is like healed essentially.
Yeah, because in the opening portion, just before the accident, he says that the device he prototyped was helping him heal.
Yeah.
But then after he got a hold of her blood, he was able to fully heal.
Yeah, isn't that something? What does that tell you then?
Yeah, she's got a bunch of different factors going on.
That, and what did it say? We
share similar genetic traits that allows
we
us to
process gamma radiation differently.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Then you get the and he's basically giving her the downside. You got to be careful that you don't destroy mountains and everything. And they get a bit competitive. I love the scene where he throws the boulder and he just tosses it a little long. Yeah. And then she throws it a bit farther and he's like, no, shoom, gone.
Yeah.
And then leads her to tell her, as a Hulk, you can't get drunk. So just keep drinking.
Yeah.
But he forgets to warn her about the hangover.
I like I'm glad that you got the yoga pose in there because there's another nod to the Norton version of the Hulk.
Yeah.
He was doing yoga to
meditation and
yeah.
And then they end that off at the bar.
Anybody cry over that?
Bar.
You get a little bit like, oh.
Yeah, Tony helped him build the place, but he didn't really specify that he helped him build the bar.
Right.
She says, did you build this by yourself? And you see the little TS there. It's like, probably not.
I'm telling you right now, there's a series of web shorts right here. If you're listening, Marvel, Disney, I need to see Tony Stark and Bruce Banner chilling at the bar.
Yep.
At the tiki bar.
But then I've kind of skipped over the fight because you really got to see it for yourself.
Yep.
But just the way she takes advantage of her powers and the back and forth between them.
Oh yeah.
Until they fall through the bar and she's like, oops.
Right.
And I love he just pounds his fist on the ground. He's like, my bar. And then he's like, you're going to help fix it. So she does.
I mean, this is after that scene in the where they're in the basement, right? Where he turns the buzzsaws on her.
Yes.
Because there's the best line I think I've ever heard, and I know that Lauren for sure roared because when he's telling her, you got to check your fear and anxiety, and she says that's the baseline for every woman everywhere.
Every woman everywhere.
That is the best line. Lauren was dying, and it's funny because it's true.
Yeah, I guess I'm skipping over one here because they do actually touch on that when just before the fight.
Right.
She's like, I've had to deal with that as a woman.
Yeah, my whole life.
And he's like, you got to get control of it. And she's like, I do.
I actually appreciate what they were trying to do there. That whole I don't want to say he's mansplaining her, but you can't, as a man, you cannot possibly know what an adult woman has gone through in a male-dominated society. You will never know what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah, because they touch on it at the bar where the girls are like, who did this to you? You need makeup. You need help. You got to leave the guy.
Yeah.
And then she goes out. She instantly gets hit on.
Yeah.
And then
I appreciate what they're trying to do with that and the way that it was handled. I thought it was rather well done.
Even in the very opening scene with the other lawyer when she's practicing her monologue, and he's like, maybe I should do it. And she's like, no, because she did. She nailed it. She doesn't need
exactly. No.
It's perfect.
But we get back to reality after that, and she's in the courtroom, and we get our first glimpse of Titania.
crazy. I didn't expect that for sure.
Yeah.
Like that came out of left field for me, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Played by Jamila Jamil.
Do we know her from anything else?
A lot of voice work.
Lots of voice work.
Lots of voice work.
Yeah.
And the Good Place on I think it's a Netflix show with Ted Danson.
Oh, really? Okay.
Chick goes to heaven, but it's hell, but it's heaven.
Oh,
it's a comedy. she's
okay.
She's a character in the show.
All right, fair enough.
She's also a voice in that new DC Super Pets.
Oh, crazy.
Really? The Legion of Super Pets, the League of Super Pets.
Yeah, with The Rock,
Dwayne Johnson. Yeah. Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. Yes.
I want to see that.
Looks good. But she bursts through, and She-Hulk hulks up and saves the day. And then we get the credits, and the art in the credits is awesome.
I love the Muscle Beach.
It's
thing.
John Romita Jr. I meant to hammer down on that. It's all John Romita Jr.
Is
art.
it?
Yes.
Because he's paying tribute to some older stuff, like this Joe Jusko piece from the Muscle Beach.
No,
one.
totally. But if you look at especially the way Romita draws faces, if they're not aping his style, I would be surprised if he didn't actually do the closing credits personally.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe it's in the credits.
Yeah, and throughout the whole episode, of course, she's always hammering about Captain America's status.
Let's go over my theory again.
Just touch on it again in the credits, and then in the post-credit scene, she feigns being drunk.
Right.
Finally, he confesses to her what happened, when it did, and she comes out of it. She's like, "Oh," and he's like, "You're not drunk?" And she's like, "No."
It was the one part of the show where I actually kind of went, "Was that necessary?"
Yeah.
Was the payoff, like the getting there, was the punchline worth the whole? Like, I just didn't.
I think so.
You know what it's really. You know what it illustrates really. Later. For me it illustrates these people, even though we know them. First of all, we've known them from comic books our whole lives, but we know these characters, like the way that the movies are presented to us. We're on the team with them. They're not breaking the fourth wall necessarily talking to us, and she's a fan. They're celebrities to her.
Okay. I guess so.
That's more like the standard. Like, do the Kardashians? Does Kanye West this? Does the Queen of England that?
Okay, right.
It's like, for me, that's like.
Yeah, your everyday conversation, you would be asking if you got your 5 minutes with them.
I guess so. Yeah, sure.
Bo hunk in the world, and I wonder, does he get tail? And that's a perfectly reasonable sort of. That's their celebrities, that's their icons, and that's a completely human, non-superhero take on it for me.
I guess it works in the sense that because of who she's taught, because it's Bruce,
right?
You would never ask that to if you walked up to Steve Rogers, even presuming that he's still out there somewhere, you would never say, "Hey, man."
But it's the other thing. What it's also a take on. It's the take on does Superman.
Ant-Man.
Ejaculate so much that I don't know how do I say that.
Of superheroes.
But
does it cause damage people?
The Mallrats joke where he blows Lois's bloom out of her back, right? So is it that because sitting around and we're drinking one night and our conversation devolves into does Plastic Man's dong do this? So it's very human and fan based. I think. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, though, they're tying it back to that whole Ant-Man joke where, that's America's ass.
That's right.
So,
America
is enthralled with him.
Right.
It is America.
He's an icon to the rest of America.
Oh, my God. No, I'm going to be having these mental superhero sex.
There's a website for that.
Oh, there's a website for everything. But, this scene touches on one other thing because she's like, oh my God, Captain America, that ass, he died a virgin.
Right.
And Hulk never says he died. He just
says he's not a virgin.
Steve Rogers is not.
Right.
Implying again that maybe he's on the moon.
I guess so, yeah.
So moon stuff.
Yeah, moon stuff.
But then is that where he's going in the ship?
No, he's going to Sakaar.
Moon stuff.
Stop over at the sword station.
Yeah.
But then she's like, yes, Captain America. And they cut it off mid-word.
Yeah.
Rightfully so, but you get the gist.
Captain America fornicates.
Fun wow? I don't know what she was going to say.
But then we move on to episode 2. And Hank, you had pointed out this one to me.
This one's making the rounds.
I'm skipping over a scene here because she opens up.
And these, whenever you guys see a UPC code or
I tried to scan this
like a
one.
QR
QR
code?
code.
a QR code, the first one in the first episode is a link to a free copy of Savage She-Hulk #1.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool. Super
Yeah.
cool.
I tried to scan this one, but it was too blurry.
I couldn't either. No.
But the second episode opens up and she ends up getting fired for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And
now she's
again,
a superhero.
again,
That's
she goes
so
to
typical.
that legalese bar.
Yep.
And the patriarchy is very visible, right? Like the one lawyer who wanted to deliver the closing argument.
Yep.
He's like, you shouldn't have done that. And blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's a hot chick over there. I'm going to go hit on it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Let's just drive that one home.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely to double down on that men are pigs thing for sure.
Yeah. But then you find her in the apartment looking for jobs, or sort of. And this page is just full of Easter eggs.
Well, there's another
like
splash page, really.
Yeah, find Ant-Man, search for Norse mythology, that gets you to Thor. And then apparently Iron Man is the Michael Jordan of the MCU.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah. But then the one you pointed out to me, Hank, is man fights with metal claws in bar.
Yes.
And there's only one guy there to be.
Yes.
And then the other one, because we were talking about this a few weeks ago.
When are they going to address
a couple
this?
weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's just a little side note here. Why is there a giant statue of a man sticking out of the ocean?
Out of the ocean.
So there's your Eternals confirmation.
Fantastic.
I mean, okay, yes, it's a headline on a website somewhere. Please, at some point, even if it's another joke, something, just anything a little bit more.
True.
Yeah.
Have that's somebody flying tours
Wolverine
into
in
the
the
giant
MCU
statue.
enough for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think so? I mean, this has been making the rounds, right? And I mean, I've seen all kinds of like imagery associated with it. And one of the pictures that turned up in association with this headline was the scene, Logan, X-Men 2000. Do we think it's the same fight or a version of that fight? Because, hey, multiverse.
Maybe.
All right. I got to throw this out to you. How many bar fights has Wolverine been in just the comics that you've read? Never mind everyone that's ever had Wolverine in it.
Well,
And he's getting into bar fights regularly. It's like that's the start of every good Wolverine campaign. Is it? Well, let's start in a bar fight, see where it goes.
Shot of whiskey and a cigar, and
there it is.
What are you talking about?
That's
Bob?
like if they had said naked man with claws in the Arctic or in the tundra
in the Canadian North.
We would have said the same thing, but it's just to ground the character. Where are we most familiar with him? One of my favorite things in the actual X-Men comics was there was a fight where Juggernaut Bub, perfect. Juggernaut happened to be attack the local bar where the X-Men were drinking in their pastime, and Colossus and Wolverine ended up fighting. But it was a bar fight. Like they were smashing glasses over
a legit bar fight.
Colossus picks up the entire bar, and smashes Juggernaut with it. It's that kind of thing. But yeah, that's I would. As soon as I saw that, I flipped right out. I mean, we know it's coming, but
it's just nice to see those little things popping up on the way to it.
And they know what they're doing too.
Yeah.
Well, they've already suggested that Kamala Khan might be a mutant. Going so far as to mutation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that for me, it's unequivocal. It's not even, that part of the show made me jump.
Oh yeah,
almost as much as anything I've seen in the MCU, because I mean, they very craftily held this back long enough to just create that frenzy. Because
right.
I even feel like some of these latest few movies have been weak, and they all suffer from the third act problem. That's crazy.
Yeah,
but I think that if you're gonna keep going with the superhero movie every year, you need fresh blood, and the X-Men is like the
they're waiting to happen.
The royal family. That's the one thing. The royal family. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, and I can't wait for that. But I know that the mainstream are just going to go absolutely. You think they made $1 billion already? You just wait for X-Men.
Yeah,
movies.
the cumulative success of phases 1 through 3 that culminated with Infinity War and Endgame that is a really, really high bar. And, you know, from my perspective, I love that Phase 4 is, you know, full of all these TV series, but none of them, including She-Hulk, none of them have hit a level as any of the solo outings of the first 3 phases.
No. I absolutely
maybe Thor:
agree
The
with
Dark
that.
World, but do you know what I
look
mean?
at things
But
too.
at the same time,
yeah,
they're laying groundwork.
Absolutely,
Like, interconnected
For sure.
groundwork.
For sure. It's almost not fair when we had a couple superhero movies, we had a few X-Men movies, and some of them were even good.
Yeah, they were.
We had a couple Toby movies that were excellent. Third one notwithstanding necessarily, but when we got that first Iron Man movie, not only was it the best superhero movie I'd ever seen at the time, it was the best movie I had seen in a decade.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So it's kind of hard to top that lightning in a bottle crap.
Yeah.
You know, and they did very, very well. Like, I mean, you know, that the Winter Soldier, unprecedented, like such a good film, right? Like, so they really,
you're
really
right. I think you're right though, Hank, when you say like holding back, and like you say, the fans who have been waiting, when we get to that, you know,
it'll be a frenzy. It'll be the Force Awakens all over again.
Well, yeah, I think that
because they've been holding back on the
so
merchandising,
hopeful.
they've been holding back, and they're starting to just dangle it, like, you know, they're like that X-Men 97 that's coming out, right? And when it comes full force, we're all going to be just, you know,
who's going to get there first? Who's going to get there first? The next iteration of the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, or the X-Men? Who's going to get to the post first?
I think the Dark Avengers is actually going to get there first.
Dark Avengers or Young Avengers?
They might be around.
Yeah,
that's probably neck and neck sort of thing.
You know, they get that the Marvels coming, and I mean that's going to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And anybody notice there was some set leaks on the Phase 2 Riri Williams armor?
No, I did not.
I hadn't seen that yet.
Looks pretty good.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Looks pretty good. The upgraded Riri Williams armor. Yeah, looks good. So yeah.
Nice.
I just want.
Where were we?
Oh yeah, we're talking about She-Hulk.
Yeah, that one.
Leave it to Wolverine to screw everything up.
Again, in another, when she pulls back, she checks her phone, and we get another reference to America's ass. Her screensaver is Captain America's butt.
Well, there you go. See, it's personal. It's not even a casual.
That's World War II Cap.
Yeah, she thinks about
Civil War Cap.
Yeah. Is it Civil War Cap?
Yeah,
it looks like the World War II suit.
Yeah, maybe
all the leather, the brown leather.
Zoom right in. Let's check it out.
Yeah, but that one keeps the joke going. Then we get to the dinner, and
I love that her dad is Larry.
Yeah,
Larry from Perfect Strangers. Yeah.
But the conversation that happens here is exactly what you would expect. Like, you know, you're asking Hulk questions. Now they're asking her questions. Like, you know, what about Hawkeye's arrows? Who goes?
That's a great question.
And
does he collect them? But again, as you say,
it could leave a lot of damage.
You know, a bunch of comic book fans. Does he just get new ones, or does he go pick those up?
Right.
I play Dungeons and Dragons. I know how many arrows I've walked around and collected.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But then the other thing that comes up here is a throwback line to the first episode.
Okay.
Where she talks to Bruce and she says, you know, you're not the only genius in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I know, there's also Ched.
Oh, yeah.
This is Ched. And I think he was being sarcastic at that point.
Right. Ched the genius.
Yeah, because he got a promotion at Best Buy. So.
At the Best Buy. Yeah. Pretty soon you'll be manager, young man.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's got the genes. He could be a Hulk.
He could be.
So who's that other guy? Who's that other guy that's the smart Hulk?
Amadeus Cho.
Amadeus Cho. I'd rather have him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I was like, when I first heard him say the name, I was like, no, they're not going to make him related to Cho.
I kind of had the same thing going in my
head. And then we meet this guy, and it's like, no, it's not Amadeus at all.
No.
Yeah.
So. But then, you know, we get to the point where She-Hulk has been, you know, fielding this offer from the guy she was just in court with.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And she shows up. They want her to Hulk out and be She-Hulk as an attorney. And as they're walking through, this particular guy here has a wall full of rare books.
I love that in the wake of the events of phases 1 through 3, that now Avengers comic books as we know them can exist within the MCU
Yeah.
as fictional tales.
Well, they touched on that in Logan, right?
Yeah.
Where X-23 was reading X-Men comics to get the coordinates of where to go.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a really interesting one to put up. Never mind that it's the first one, but Namor being on the cover is really the first sort of instance of, we're about to get Namor heavy. We all know that from the trailer but that's a pretty cool. That's very cool. That's a great eye because that's so subtle in the background.
I was looking at the other books, and I guess given with time, we could probably sort them out. But
Captain America,
a lot of Captain America on that wall.
That's just sort of canonizes Namor for me too. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Also got the Sam Wilson led Cap film coming up here pretty soon.
True.
Yeah.
But then she gets into her office. It's a great big office. And her assistant there, she's all, smiles about it because
my God,
they're moving up in the world.
The assistant, I know I've seen him somewhere and I can't put my finger on him, but it's like, but
I think we're going to get more of him because he is working in the same division. But again, a real world thing here. He's like, and also a map of where to go.
The best bathroom for the poopies.
And dead serious. They're both like, thank you
for the poop.
Yeah. Lauren was
yes,
that's
the
awesome.
info you
Lauren
need.
was like, yes. She really liked that too. Yeah. That's a cool little detail.
Yeah. Then we get her taking on her first case for them. It's Emil Blonsky, as we know. And we get a throwback. This isn't the first time we've been to the DODC here.
No.
We were there in Miss Marvel and we were there in Shang-Chi.
We were?
Apparently, yeah.
When in Shang-Chi did we go there?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I'd have to rewatch it, but according to the Marvel Wiki, this is
my God. Comment here. Facebook user said he's from that show about Walmart. When you say Walmart, do you mean the comedy Superstore?
Superstore. You got it.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes.
That show took me.
I
know we're going way off the rails today. That show, I love that show. It took me
so
right off.
good.
It follows the sort of the Office model of kind of comedy, like Parks and Rec style thing.
It doesn't hurt that it's got a kid in the hall in it.
No. That show was great.
Oh, it was good. It was good. I was sad to see it go, to be honest.
And we get a thank you from our Facebook user.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
But yeah, she's going to the DODC and it's looking pretty wild as a prison.
It does. I mean, I don't remember this facility from anything else. At first I thought it was like, Blonsky, where I thought they're holding him on the raft.
Yeah, right. That's where technically you would think they would hold him, but we've only seen that once before.
Oh, you know what? I know exactly where we've seen this in Shang-Chi. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's in the scene where Blonsky and Wong go back through the portal. His cell is in the background.
Yes.
That's where we've seen it.
That's going to come up again because this is directly tied to it.
Yeah.
But we get back there and Tim Roth back as Emil Blonsky. And
so self-referential too.
It is.
I'm a Russian agent raised in Britain, so they cover his accent, which they didn't do in the first. It's great. Like they're so tongue-in-cheek with it and so matter-of-fact with it. Love it.
Even makes a joke about using his little ears.
Yeah,
the teeny weeny little abomination ears from the 08, the 2008 movie. I'm like, oh, that's good.
Russian born, British raised.
I do like though how he built his in that
he builds his case.
Verbal blah, 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 he basically lays out a case, and she's like, oh yeah, he really does have a case, especially when it's like they shot me up with the super soldier serum, and then Kim says, didn't he shoot himself up? I was a hero.
No,
I thought I was the good guy.
No, he did go into it thinking he was the good guy, got the first dose. But after that, he went off the rails and
what good soldier doesn't think they're the good guy?
No villain thinks they're the villain.
No.
Yeah. But he builds his case for her and she accepts. She goes back and takes it. And
now the question is, what are they going to do with it?
Don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Then we get her talking to Bruce, I think I'm going to take the case. And she just wants his blessing. And here's where we get that joke about him being a completely different person, literally.
Oh yeah.
Got another comment from Doug.
Doug says perspective changes everything.
It does.
Sure does.
But, we get that joke, and it's good.
I just want to point out again, we've already talked about this, but I mean, just looking at that shot of Ruffalo as the Hulk, it does look pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I can't complain about it at all.
And then we get the pullback, and this is why I think he's going back to Planet Sakaar.
You know, when they were pulling back, I actually thought he was going to hang up the phone and that he was going to be on the sword station. And then we got this. And I'm like, there is a spaceship there.
I just thought he was in the lab at first.
Yeah, because there's files in the background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Looks like normal computers. Like,
taking some of his work with him.
Yeah, it's wicked.
But
no Planet Hulk has been announced yet, right?
No,
like, there's
I don't
no
believe so.
Official. No, so.
But the seeds are planted.
Well, now,
so
the curiosity question will be: will Bruce make a return before the end of the series, or will we not see him again until the big screen?
I do not think we will see him again because they have a lot to cover going forward. The Abomination, Wong, and then the one trailer that I saw today that absolutely confirms Charlie Cox in there.
Yeah, Matt Murdock's going to show. Well, sorry, Daredevil's going to show up.
That's right.
In his yellow costume.
Wicked.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still that biased, and it's not necessarily accurate. Well, it's 100% inaccurate. But I have a buddy at work, and he's, he and his son are bonding over all this Marvel and Star Wars. And things, and his daughter, who's roughly the same age, kind of she's not as into it, but she was really excited about She-Hulk, and he kind of watched it with her, and he wasn't sure if because he was trying to balance things, but the kid loved the Hulk aspects of the show, and then really loved the whole show altogether. But I think that might have been integral to keep that audience engaged, and then you wean them off one Hulk and wean them onto another one. Almost, you know what I mean? Because we absolutely need to be in this place where it doesn't matter what's going on. It's just a superhero, and a good story and good characters and lots of cool actions and events. So I think it's super strong, and I don't think they need Bruce to be in it too much.
No.
He was so rarely in She-Hulk comics. It's just so rare.
He's part of the origin, and that's that until you get back to like World War Hulks.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I think that's, sort of what she needs. Like all these young, newer characters need their own space to breathe. And definitely I'd rather see her chum around with Daredevil in a million times in a row than watch her chum around with Bruce anymore. Not
the
that I
fact
didn't enjoy it.
That she's out there publicly as Jennifer.
Right.
I almost wonder, it's like, she's looking for a job. I'm like, Nelson and Murdoch.
Yeah.
Right. That's actually what I thought was going to happen. But
I was kind of hoping like maybe this whole superhero law division will like fail.
Well, so she's essentially a prosecutor, or sort of a defense attorney,
a defense lawyer now.
I mean, she might come head to head with Foggy at a different company or something cool like that. Like, who knows this?
So that's another question, and this is just an aside question here. We have the confirmation of Charlie Cox coming back. Is the actor who played Foggy Nelson coming back? Because I actually liked him.
He's a Disney guy, right?
I liked him.
He's wasn't he the goalie in Mighty Ducks or something like that?
Oh, now that you say that,
you're
right. Yeah,
he's like he
wasn't the goalie, but he was the slapshot guy
or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Sure,
yeah. And so like he's got like this Disney history. Oh yeah, he's the tough guy.
Okay.
But I don't know. It just seemed it just seems like it would be imperative to have the entire cast return. We already know D'Onofrio's returning.
Yes, and then I read something recently that said that John Bernthal's Punisher is coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
in what capacity, I don't know.
They would absolutely be crazy not to tap that stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of all the Netflix stuff. I watched it all, and I liked Defenders probably more than most people did. But I thought there were balls that were dropped with certain characters. I really liked Luke Cage. I was looking forward to a third season because I stopped reading Luke Cage comics around the time he became that version of the character.
Yeah.
So I was kind of interested in seeing him as the godfather of Harlem.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd like to see that explored. I'm going on a crazy rant tonight, boys. I'm sorry. I loved the Doctor Who guy as the Purple Man.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I would love to see him as a villain again. Oh my God. D'Onofrio. Yeah, I know. Isn't that brutal? I hate to do that, but Iron Fist
David
is probably
Tennant.
the weakest. David Tennant. There you go.
Yeah.
Iron Fist was so weak, unfortunately for me, and I really was. I liked the character a lot.
I like the guy playing him. He did.
Oh
well
yeah,
with
no,
what
he
had.
Finn Jones.
did a fair job, and
Finn Jones.
His partner, she was excellent.
Colleen Wing played
Colleen
by and I love her. Oh my God.
I know.
She was in Star Wars.
Matrix.
Yes.
She was in Star Wars, and she was just in the new Matrix film.
Yeah.
And
I mean, she was definitely my favorite thing about that show.
I can't think of her name. She's great. God, she's awesome. I can't think of her name.
Help us out, guys, if you're out there.
Why is this happening to me?
This is what happens when we go off script.
She was Bugs in the Matrix.
That's right. She was definitely my favorite thing about that. I'd love to see Colleen Wing in another thing.
Yeah, me too.
Although the actress, I think, could even be somebody bigger in the MCU. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think they'd be doing a disservice if they didn't try to bring those characters, even if it was an ensemble thing. We could do a better take on the Defenders for sure. Daredevil, always been one of my favorites. You guys know I love the street level brawler kind of heroes. So
yes,
Daredevil always had this weird. His superpower is his disability, which was always enthralling to me.
There's just so much room for these street level guys to occupy this space right alongside the She-Hulk that it's hard not to imagine them turning up in some capacity.
I spent 20 years reading comics that were kind of all street based before I got into the stuff that was traveling through the stars, and it's like Marvel, the MCU almost hit that running. We were almost into this, these epic spacefaring tales almost off the, you know what I mean?
It didn't take very long to get.
I mean, I guess wave one was sort of the battle for New York, and then we got bigger and bigger and bigger. But I love that gritty, the Vulture, who could probably take over a small country somewhere.
Oh, sure, yeah,
is just robbing a bank. I love that stuff. Like, that's crazy. Why is he only robbing a bank? Oh well, he's got bags of money.
There you go.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does now over in the Sony verse, since he's now over there.
Yeah, he can come back.
I suppose he could come back.
Yeah,
I suppose so. We still got to see him do his thing with the Scorpion.
Yeah,
they teased that one out.
That's right.
No payoff there yet, but
anything else you guys want to touch on She-Hulk before we?
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Oh, you got more? Okay,
I got more. We're not done yet.
Oh, I thought you. Okay.
But no. Again, like you said, catching that lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. With
the first arc there, the whole Infinity Saga, that was catching it, and that was based on one of the most popular stories they've ever told. Planet Hulk is arguably another one.
Listen, I stopped buying individual comic books like a couple decades ago.
Yeah.
But like big event titles, Planet Hulk and World War Hulk are both in my collection.
And
right, absolutely.
It's not limited to two, right? There are multiple wide versions, arcs like that that if played right, can translate the same way Infinity War did.
And the thing being, having said that, the thing being there, when I look at all those events, I would have to say the ones that stick out the most to me, like Infinity War was fantastic, Planet Hulk was fantastic, but when I look at things like the Age of Apocalypse or the Dark Phoenix,
we are right in the same place, sir.
Or when the Extinction Agenda, when I think of big anthology things that Marvel has done, I always go X-Men. They've killed it with the cross-generational X-Men stuff and that big arcing stories. They really cut their teeth and they killed it on that, and it gave them the sort of confidence to do it with other heroes and bring them together. So when you're talking about that level of like, you could do a phase 6 that is nothing but mutants.
Oh yeah,
very easily. You know, that stuff I can't wait for that stuff.
Yeah, you and me both.
And I think the biggest thing, if we're going to end this somewhere down the line, and they might not ever do it because their billions and billions of dollars keep rolling in. But for me, my end game, honestly, would be a trilogy of movies that are the Secret Wars.
Oh yes,
that 1980s
Secret
War.
Secret Invasion is on the docket. It's one of the upcoming titles. Yeah,
coming soon. Yeah.
How they plan on handling that? I don't.
Everybody's
know.
a Skrull.
Well,
right, but I mean, we've already.
Secret Invasion is the perfect vehicle for a Netflix or a 20th Century Fox transition, because you can just say, no, they don't count. They were a Skrull.
It didn't happen here.
Does it matter that that Talos essentially and his group are basically portrayed as being the victims? And heroes. Yeah.
I think that'll get addressed in the Marvels.
Yeah, because that's completely contrary to
to the source material.
Right. Yeah.
Facebook comment here. I agree with this one. They have never done the Phoenix right.
Agreed.
Never.
Both times they tried it.
Agreed.
Or I guess 3 times they tried it.
Twice.
Yeah,
with Famke and
they alluded to it once and tried it twice.
Yeah.
And they did better the second time, but that for me, that's like one of those source materials that is so, it's got to be perfect. And I don't know,
you can't.
I don't know if you want to try it a third time and have it ruin a franchise. You might steer away from it for a bit.
Yeah.
It's sort of the peak of X-Men, like that Chris Claremont stuff.
Yeah,
man. Like you were saying that I went back and I watched the New Mutants. At your behest there. Dude, so good. And it's the entire. It's like there's a 10-issue arc in the early mid '80s that Chris Claremont penned for the New Mutants with the Spirit Bear, and it was straight out of the. I mean, if you guys are fans of that Chris Claremont stuff, that movie.
So now that you've seen it, Hank, now do you see why it was delayed? When I said that it parallels some of the things from Captain Marvel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that one should have gotten. I mean, is that the mutants in MCU? I don't know. I started watching Legion 2 going, oh, this is really good series. Too.
Yeah, okay.
But there's got to be some way to stop all that horse crap and entwine them all in. I know people want money and distribution and all, but if there was some way where we could magically make everybody on the same page,
just everybody,
the things we could do with this universe, and like I said, culminating in Secret Wars, where all the heroes and villains go to Beyond Our World and fight.
Yeah,
man.
Like the source material is laid out. Just get the rights and do it.
That's right.
That is one of the greatest things ever. Absolutely. Holds up too. I read it recently. It holds up too.
Nice. But back to our She-Hulk show here.
Yeah. Sorry.
She-Hulk. One?
We're still on episode 2.
Yeah. So Bruce, he ends up flying off to wherever, and she makes the call to Holloway and says, I'll take the case. And he says, okay, great, but you might want to check the TV. And then we see the Abomination prison break, and this footage they're showing is direct footage right out of Shang-Chi.
Right from the fight, from the cage fight with Wong and him.
Yeah.
So that puts us a few months back, like, if in terms of the real world release of Shang-Chi, it's like almost a year. But does that mean we're like kind of loose with the continuity? We're just...
Maybe. That establishes where this falls in the timeline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the things that has me... Oh,
Shang-Chi happens. Sorry, Shang-Chi happens after Eternals.
Oh, possibly.
Because
I guess so.
We have the Eternals headline.
The head thing.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
This is the
semantics,
thing
that,
I guess. Of all the stuff that we saw in the trailers for She-Hulk was that whole the Abomination and Wong. I am super, super interested to see and learn about what is the relationship between these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do you go grab him?
I mean, who do you think broke him out of prison?
Yeah, it's a portal for sure.
We'll sling ring you out of there. And
yeah.
I need you for 5 minutes. Get over
it. Yeah.
Well, with Wong being the sorcerer supreme of this reality, that's
right.
Sort of, I'm not up on Doctor Strange comics necessarily, but that's unprecedented territory as far as I know. Like even America Chavez is like, what? You're not sorcerer supreme?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he's instrumental in assembling the Dark Avengers or the Anti-Avengers or whatever it is. Like,
maybe, yeah.
He's a different take on Strange, so he's assembling this team. I don't know. Certainly, Abomination would be a Hulk replacement
he's your
contender,
muscle.
Right?
Yeah, he's your muscle, yeah.
But she turns the channel on and sees that, and she's like, "Well, this sucks."
Yeah, that's going to make representing him really, really hard.
Yeah,
but it doesn't change her boss's countenance at all. Like he maintains this. You still got to do the case. Like you're still,
It doesn't say that she had to win the case. She just had to take it.
Right.
Yeah.
And she did agree to do that.
And she kind of put her foot in her mouth saying, this is going to be
I think
great.
he's got a good case.
I've got it locked.
Yeah. Oops. May have gotten a little ahead of herself on that one.
Yeah.
Is that Channel 10 from any of the other shows? Did anybody?
I
was thinking about it now.
That up.
That I would not know. It's not as on the nose.
They use cut newscasters a bunch in different versions of the TV shows. I was wondering.
Right.
But then we get our credit art, which again is fantastic.
Love it.
And in our post credit, we get more scenes of her helping around the house.
When the father said, "I need you to help me do some stuff," and then they go outside, and he's like, "I just wanted to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh, they want her to." I actually said, "Jack the car up."
Yeah.
And sure, in the post credit scene, there she is.
What do you drink this much water for?
She's holding it with like what? Is it a trailer hitch? She just holding
trailer hitch, just hold it up,
looking
all annoyed.
Yeah. Oh, it's too priceless.
And the brother or whatever. I could have done that.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Ched the genius.
Ched the genius.
The way she's just kind of staring off like,
hurry up, finish. Yeah, but that is what I've got for the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk.
Excellent.
Well, that was great. That was a nice look.
I know I probably missed a few Easter eggs, but
that's okay. That's all right. I mean,
there was a lot jammed in there.
It's safe to say the three of us, we all like it.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait for the next episode.
Super strong. Yeah.
Yep.
All of their TV for me. I know you guys weren't big Moon Knight fans. I super enjoyed Moon Knight too. I haven't been, with the exception, poor Wanda. With the exception of the first 2 episodes, taken out of context, I have not been disappointed with any of their TV.
Is that right?
And I can't say that about their last few movies.
I won't say that I've been disappointed. I would just say that I have had a more pleasurable experience.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, everything's been good, and I really appreciate the way that they're tackling a lot of the stuff. I love the way that they tackled mental health in Moon Knight. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the way that they tackled racism in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes,
and then again,
and anti-heroes too, actually.
Yes,
yeah. I really liked I was going to say Sin Eater. I can't remember the character now. Sorry, but the female lead from.
Sure. And says, "I've enjoyed all the TV shows except Miss Marvel, which was so for me."
I see now. The girl, she was so charming to me.
She is the perfect
and then
Kamala
honestly,
Khan,
it's a bit meta, and I don't usually go, "Oh, this actor X and Y," and therefore I enjoy their stuff more. But when I watched that little short about the actress being a cosplay fan and how she got the job, I went, "Okay, they found a real life Kamala Khan to play Kamala Khan," and I went, "Okay, now I'm invested."
Who's like,
and then I thought she was so charming, actually.
And she's already a fan, so she knows, she's going to be passionate about.
But when you see those like pictures of her as a much younger girl from like 3-4 years ago, dressed up like this character, and also really refreshing to see, a Pakistani family played by Canada. We're progressive. We have Kim's Convenience and had it for years and stuff. I had a friend of mine who I sort of was like, "You should watch Kim's Convenience. If you're Korean, you might like it. It's kind of cool."
Glenn says, good performances, but it still didn't hit for me. I didn't get that endorphin rush I used to get on Wednesdays when new comic books came out.
No,
that's a fair statement.
I understand that for sure. Wednesdays. I really like it for those reasons that, like, it's nice to see a group of people getting shine or put on just because the story requires it.
Our anonymous Facebook user says, "I really liked it."
Yeah, like being a native guy that didn't understand that he was Native most of his life until I met my real father.
Yeah.
And then watching Johnny Depp play Tonto in a Lone Ranger movie, that stuff, I don't care how Cherokee you think you are.
Yeah.
There's no, and so when I see stuff like this, where it's like, it's very refreshing to me, and it must be super refreshing to these people who are constantly unrepresented in media.
Yeah, I was
So
just
I
going to
really
say,
liked
I
it for
mean,
that.
this has been just a really positive exercise in how representation matters and what representation can mean to the people who are being represented.
And it can be done tastefully without pandering too, because there's a lot of that too that people don't appreciate.
We just had a great experience, as far as I'm concerned, with Prey, the Predator prequel film.
Oh, buddy,
Fantastic! Yeah.
I did watch it in Comanche, by the way.
Nice. Glenn with another comment. No doubt, the Marvel universe is for everyone. Mutants were outcasts too.
Fully, and
Yes,
that's the whole
they
point
were.
of mutants. They were synonymous with, you could pick a color or pick a sexual preference or
That's
pick
right.
some way you were being, if you were a nerd and you were bugged because you were smart, or that was Marvel's answer, Stan Lee's sort of answer to the downtrodden, the underman. And the everyday kind of, and that was the beauty of mutants, because you could put in, right, you could put yourself into that so easily, which is the beauty of that. So that was the earliest way they were sort of all inclusive, for sure.
Absolutely, they were. Well, listen, guys, I don't have anything else tonight. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Season 2 of Chucky is coming.
Fair enough.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Nice.
For those of you who are maybe not following us on our social media platforms, I just want to point out, for those of you who are joining us here live tonight, and later on, for those of you who are catching this in the replay, this is our 120th video since we started our YouTube channel. By the way, Andy, big props to Andy, who has been working tirelessly behind the scenes. All Fandom Power videos are now on the new Fandom Power podcast YouTube channel.
Fully
so
migrated.
Everything is now 100% migrated
the port
over
king.
there. Yeah.
The port king. The port authority.
That's right. And we love him for that. So thank you very much for that. Thank you out there for coming along on this crazy little ride that we like to do every Sunday night.
And our other milestone, we just crossed 50 subscribers on YouTube.
Yes, we hit 50 subscribers this week. I know that is nothing in the world of
it's huge
YouTube.
to us.
It matters.
However,
it's huge.
47 other people out there.
I feel like Sally Field. You like me. You really like me.
That's how I feel too. And we are, as I say, we are working behind the scenes all the time, even when you think we're not. Like I said, a couple new videos came out in the last couple of weeks, working towards doing lots more short form content for those of you who have much shorter attention spans. But for those of you who like the long form stuff that we are known for doing, as Hank just said, Andor is right around the corner, and we will be right back into that with our deep dive, beat for beat, blow by blow plot breakdown, and all of the lore connections that we can pull out of that. So I'm really looking forward to doing that, and I'm scared shitless because it's 3 episodes in the first week.
Yeah. And seeing how good She-Hulk is, I can see why Andor was pushed back. They definitely didn't want it to cross over as much. It's still going to cross over 2 episodes, but I see the logic now.
That's okay. Do we know where the Bad Batch is sitting currently? Has it been delayed as well?
I just read an article, indiscriminately pushed back. They didn't say anything hard, but it's definitely, that's fine. It doesn't have its, was it November 2022 release before? That's no longer on the table.
Yeah. So maybe it's going to be
pushed to the first quarter of 2023, I think.
That's fine.
They wouldn't want it to overlap with the Mandalorian.
Andor is going to be 12 episodes.
It's 12 episodes, so it's 9 weeks, right? Because the first 3 are the first week. So and it does overlap with She-Hulk. Two episodes overlap, so there is going to be a lot for the fandom to cover, for at least for the end of September, beginning of October.
Well, I think that there's it's a very exciting time to be a fan of anything that's out in the Disney Plus realm right now. There's just so much stuff coming down the pipe, and that means we'll have content for miles.
It's wicked.
Listen, guys, as always, if you like the show, please leave us a comment. We love interacting with you guys here on the live shows. Do check out some of our pre-recorded stuff. Go back and visit our back catalog. Maybe you missed some stuff when it was back on the old channel, but also consider becoming a patron of the show, where there's going to be some benefits there for you. You will have access to all of the show notes at any level, as well as you can get your name in the credits as a producer. So we'd look forward to having you become a part of the team, as it were. And I think that's it for me, guys.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. So there will be something next week.
Yes,
I don't know what that's going to be, but I'll probably have a couple more short videos out before then. At least
I got
at least
a couple
one.
ideas.
I'll have at least one new video out this week, probably middle of the week or so, depending on when you're watching this, or maybe it's already out. Who knows? But yeah, we'll be back next Sunday for the next live stream. Until then, I guess for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
And we will see you on the next one, guys. Bye for now. What am I doing here?
Hit that.
Push this thing. Oh, that one.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Fandom Power. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll be talking about another one of your favorite fandoms. Fandom Power is a Sawcast production.